it matched the body paint of his principal, and Atvar's pattern, as befit his rank, was the most ornate and elaborate on Tosev III. Pishing bent into the posture of respect. Even his tail stump twitched to one side. "I greet you, exalted fleet lord," he said in the hissing, popping language of the race.
"And I greet you,"
Atvar replied. Straightening, Pishing said, "They are waiting for you."
"Of course they are,"
Atvar said bitterly.
"Eaters of carrion always gather to feast at a juicy corpse."
His tail stump quivered in anger.
"I am sorry, exalted fleet lord."
Pishing had the courtesy to sound as if he meant it.
"But when the recall order came from home, what could you do?"
"I could obey or I could rebel,"
Atvar answered. His adjutant hissed in horror at the very idea. Among the race, even saying such things was shocking. There had been mutinies and rebellions here on Tosev III. Perhaps more than anything else, that told what sort of place this was. Atvar held up a placating hand.
"I obey. I will go into cold sleep. I will return to home. Maybe by the time I get there, those who will sit in judgment on me will have learned more. Our signals, after all, travel twice as fast as our starships."
"Truth, exalted fleet lord," Pishing said. "Meanwhile, though, as I told you, those who wish to say farewell await you."
"I know they do."
Atvar waggled his lower jaw back and forth as he laughed, to show he was not altogether amused.
"Some few, perhaps, will be glad to see me. The rest will be glad to see me go."
He got to his feet and sardonically made as if to assume the posture of respect before Pishing.
"Lead on. I follow. Why not? It is a pleasant day."
The Fleet Lord even meant that. Few places on Tosev III fully suited the race. Most of this world was cold and damp compared to home. But the city called Cairo was perfectly temperate, especially in summertime. Pishing held the door open for Atvar. Only the great size of that door, like the height of the ceiling, reminded Atvar that Big Uglies had built the place once called Shepherd's Hotel. At the heart of the race's rule on Tosev III, it had been extensively modified year after year. It would not have made a first-class establishment back on home, perhaps, but it would have been a decent enough second-class place. When Atvar strode into the meeting hall, the males and females gathered there all assumed the posture of respect, all save Fleet Lord Refet, the commander of the colonization fleet, the only male in the room whose body paint matched Atvar's in complexity. Refet confined himself to a civil nod. Civility was as much as Atvar had ever got from him. He'd usually had worse, for Refet had never stopped blaming him for not presenting Tosev III to the colonists neatly wrapped up and decorated. To Atvar's surprise, a handful of tall, erect Tosevites towered over the males and females of the race. Because they did not slope forward from the hips, and because they had no tail stumps, their version of the posture of respect was a clumsy makeshift. Their pale, soft skins and the cloth wrappings they wore stood out against the clean simplicity of green-brown scales and body paint.
"Did we have to have Big Uglies here?"
Atvar asked.
"If it were not for the trouble the Big Uglies caused us, I would not be going home now. I would be Atvar the Conqueror, remembered in history forever. I will be remembered in history, all right, but not the way I had in mind before I set out with the conquest fleet."
"When some of them asked to attend, exalted fleet lord, it was difficult to say no," Pishing replied. "That one there, for instance,